Okay, group 3 of class 10 INSE, and Nikita's very excited to start. We've got our panel of expert doomsday doctor analysts over here on the side with their flow charts and their mind maps, and Nikita has the first question. Open us up, Nikita, go ahead.
Okay, so how do pandemics affect relationships with foreign countries?
All right, so use your best projected voice, share your ideas, and best wishes when you're ready to contribute to Nikita's question. We can get started.
So my focus primarily for this discussion was on nuclear weapons. Now, in terms of nuclear weapons, I think relationships were strained over COVID due to supply and demand issues or just tensions overall, unresolved conflicts. And since tensions have ramped up, the threat of nuclear warfare has increased since the pandemic with the Ukraine situation, especially. That's a very prominent one that we're experiencing right now, as Putin constantly threatens nuclear warfare. So I think COVID-19 has put a lot of strain in a lot of strain on military relationships.
I was also an expert in pandemic, and pandemic has definitely caused more diplomatic tensions between countries. And for example, it has increased on focus on how diplomacy issues as well as politics, and it also includes trade, which also includes a discussion about trade, transports of medicines and vaccines between the countries. For example, because of COVID-19. And for example, some countries accuse each other for not responding effectively. For example, the China and USA, there was a tension between those countries, and because Trump has actually used the word Chinese virus and Wuhan virus, and China has been criticized by the US for handling of its pandemic. So I think it has worsened the tensions and relationships between those countries.
So based off on this question, pandemics, they create a sense of vulnerability and urgency, and normally this leads to increased cooperation between multiple countries in terms of sharing information, resources, and expertise. Normally countries, which we've seen during COVID-19, they work together to form vaccines. Otherwise right now we'd all be struggling to stay alive. Yeah. So they work to develop vaccines and treatments, exchange medical supplies, and coordinate their responses to the pandemic. And in some cases, countries also close their borders or impose travel restrictions to prevent the spread of the pandemic. And this actually leads to tensions between the countries, and it disrupts, like Evan said, the trade and tourism.
From my perspective, my main focus was on artificial intelligence, which is an AI. And from this perspective, due to the pandemic, the uses of digital devices has increased, such as Zoom meeting, in order to have discussion with people and interacting with them. So by the increase of use of digital device, the opportunity to utilize the AI has also increased, and the AI has been
Okay, let's move on to another topic. Then everyone sort of introduced their area of expertise as well. Do we think that AI is going to be a positive in the world, potentially to avoid more of the competition and conflict between the superpowers that have been introduced in the discussion already? Will AI be a positive opportunity for us, or will it increase the competition that's being alluded to in the discussions?
So through the research that I've done and based off on my own opinion, I believe that AI has the potential to significantly improve the economic productivity, which would probably lead to increased economic and military power for countries that develop and use AI effectively. Right now, the most common use of AI around the world would probably be ChatGPT. And ChatGPT is basically an AI that gives us information post 2021, I believe. And basically, whatever you want to ask it, it gives you, and you can put it into any document, and those are your answers. It automates routine and repetitive tasks such as date entry, customer service, and manufacturing. And this also increases efficiency, reduce costs, and frees up human labor for more complex and creative tasks. Like I said, analyzes large amounts of data and can make predictions and recommendations for businesses and governments, and it also helps decision makers make more informed and strategic choices. And in terms of the government and the military, AI helps them create products, services, and technologies, which leads to economic growth, and it's an overall competitive advantage from different countries. So if the US had better AI than China, they would ultimately be like a greater power. And in terms of the military, AI can be used in their military applications, such as weapons surveillance and cyber operations. And this also gives countries an advanced AI capability in strategic advantages in military conflicts.
So from a perspective as an AI, as a person who focus on AI, if AI is beneficial also for us to know like some kind of new ideas that has been summed up through past data from the internet. Like as Aditya mentioned, the ChatGPT has been used like often over the world recently, since it sums up the data from the past through Google. When you like if you type in any question, and this shows that this can also can be used for some kind of like economical and for political thing, since the analyzing past data gives you some sort of new idea by gathering them, and this could increase more like competition between countries, like creating a better AI or a better idea in many ways.
I was an economic expert and I actually related the economic field to AI. And as Aditya mentioned, the AI has the example of the AI inputs ChatGPT, and it has actually been proven that it has improved the decision making process by analyzing the large amount of data. And people can actually say that AI will like decrease the number of jobs available in the future due to the automatic systems, but it is actually found that 85 million jobs will be displaced, while there will be like 97 million new jobs created by 2025. And it has also been proven that labor productivity in developed countries can increase by 40%. And the AI will also require the workers for upskilling, which means that the labor productivity will increase and they can use their skill more usefully and effectively by acquiring more knowledge.
Just like so you mentioned about like ecologicals and AI. So there's an example from like US that the US scientists and AI put
AI and nuclear bombs it's in its conceptual phase. It hasn't been implemented. It's been theorized, but it hasn't been implemented. And I think that they're gonna be leaving AI as a they'll put it in a position where it's in its decision making. It's not. It might not be used in the manufacturing process, or it might be, but I think as of right now, since there's not a lot of information on it, or at least what people are willing to share, so it's kind of hard to gauge at the moment. So there's not a lot out there for that.
Okay. Do you think that we're investing as much energy, expertise, ideas economically through corporations and through governments in saving the environment as we are in advancing technology?
So from my perspective, I don't really agree with it since so recently, due to the development of technologies, we require more resources to build like something such as computer and factories and cars, which we need, which is essential for our life in modern society. So, so actually we are somehow working to prevent like things such as global warming, but it is not really working well as we have expected, as we expected, since like we can't really prevent the emission of carbon dioxide from cars and like factories and like that industrial things. So from our perspective, it's for us, it's not really working well.
So, from the perspective that I've researched nuclear weapons, a nuclear explosion, so nuclear bombs, its sole purpose is to explode. Nuclear explosion can cause significant damage to the environment, including contamination of soil, water, and air. And the effects of radiation are long lasting, as we've seen with the explosion that happened in Chernobyl. So, with radiation, that is one of the big concerns with nuclear weapons, the radiation that stays after the explosion, after the initial attack. So radiation can cause radiation sickness, cancer, and a long list of other long-term, I guess, health risks to not only human beings, but animals that live in the surrounding area. And I mean, the whole purpose of a nuclear bomb is to destroy the environment the area that it was sent to. So in this case, it's not beneficial to the environment in any way, shape, or form.
Any other ideas? Science, technology, investment in all of these machines, in artificial intelligence, in access to information, in data collection, versus our energies towards environmental preservation. Is the outlook, and George gave his opinion, and so did Evan, is the outlook a positive one, or are we walking down the road toward ecological collapse?
As AI is also developing in the military system, for example, like the drones, AI can also like be used to intensify the speed and to expand to reduce the proximity for the targets, which will increase the situational awareness. I don't think it is being used in a good way because this can cause more wars and fights and tension between the countries. And the fact that the human soldiers actually have like emotions, but the AI do not suffer stress and emotion disorders or make the like sudden judgment or the erroneous judgment, it can be said that there will be more fight and yeah, there will be like more fight and tension, and the world would be more crueler to each other. So this can probably lead to the collapse of the civilization.
What have we learned about past civilizations and the type of conflict, war, fighting between groups, and the collapse of civilization?
Well, I suppose you could take the Mayans, for example, linking the Mayans and ecological collapse. Our planet currently and many decades before, centuries before, it's been facing lots of things like climate change, biodiversity loss, deforestation, and pollution. Sorry, and these are mainly caused by human activities, such as industrialization, agriculture, transportation, and consumption. So in the mines, from what I've read, is that they used too much of their resources, and therefore there wasn't enough, land or food for them to consume, and therefore they had to migrate to other places, and that's why we don't know much about the Mayans as of now.
So, could you repeat the question?
What's the connection between past civilizations, what we may know or have learned,
About the collapse?
and competition between either superpowers that we were discussing now, and or different groups that failed to collaborate and cooperate together, and it led to potentially or arguably the collapse of their civilization.
So, as we've seen, from the aspect of nuclear weapons, there was the Cold War, which is a massive arms race between the United States and the Soviet Union on essentially stockpiling as many nuclear weapons as they could. Now, nuclear weapons would, if both sides were to use them, it would be our collapse. However, since the environmental damage as well, mostly the environmental damage and just, yeah, the environmental damage would be so significant, and if both sides were to use it, it would mean, I believe global demise, and I think this prevents both sides from initiating nuclear warfare. So in a sense, having two opposing powers with the same weapons, I think it prevents global demise. So I guess that might be one benefit of having nuclear weapons.
I guess this doesn't just impact the environment, as you mentioned. It also kind of impacts like the cultures and stuff. Because like for example, the Mongols, like it destroys and damages the irrigation system of the Mesopotamia. So I guess like it has like huge impacts on like past civilizations.
So from a past example of World War II, the nuclear weapon has been like dropped in Japan, Hiroshima, and as an impact of nuclear weapon, the city, like the entire city, has been destroyed, and it took about like more than 10 or 20 years to rebuild the city, which shows the collapse of civilization, even though it's on a small scale. So the nuclear weapon could be beneficial in some way, but was definitely the threat and the bad ways, and like wasn't mostly it was bad for
So to add on what Joji and Evan said, the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, they ended World War II, and they brought death and destruction on a very horrifying scale. Not just atomic bombs, but mainly weapons. They've been used throughout history to protect people and territories, and they've been essential in conflicts between nations, leading to the formation of modern nation states. In some cases, the development and the use of weapons have led to advancements in technology, such as the invention of gunpowder, which has had a significant impact on warfare and has led to the development of modern firearms. But just like furthermore on what Joji said, the development of these weapons have always been driven by the desire for power and domination, leading to the creation of dangerous and destructive weapons such as nuclear bombs. The potential for these weapons to cause catastrophic destruction is a significant threat to humanity and has led to efforts to reduce their proliferation and promote disarmament.
So the fact that the U.S. is still holding the nuclear weapon as an emergency weapon to drop into a country that threatens the U.S., such as like that might be Russia or
the joint opinion, I would say that the U.S. holding atomic bombs would mainly, like I said, power and domination. They wish to show the world that you do not want to mess with them because they have this weapon of mass destruction, and they just have to drop it anywhere, and it would collapse the entire civilization of that area.
In terms of ecology, balance in ecosystems, the availability of food, the preservation of the environment, the health of the oceans and the air, are your grant, as a closing remark, everyone's welcome to respond accordingly and based on their experiences and their thoughts. Are your grandchildren going to live a cleaner, more peaceful existence than you and I, or is it going to go the other way?
I don't think so, because it can be said that the temperature have risen by more than 1.2 Celsius degrees since 1850, and this states a concerning state which includes the sea level rises, melting of Arctic ice, the warming and acidification of the ocean proves it, and the IPCC said that if the temperature rises more than 1.5 Celsius degrees, there would be a devastating impact on our society, and the civilization could possibly collapse.
Okay, so you're very concerned about the environment. So you know.
These like researchers and experts have done the entire experiment on it, and from what statistics have said that right now we're in 2023, and by 2050, due to climate change, Miami will probably be flooded because of sea level rising. In fact, in 2050, Miami won't even exist. It will be completely off the planet, and that area will just be ocean.
So I think at the rate at which we're going with tensions through the roof after COVID-19, or still going through COVID-19, I think that certain countries are not inclined to help each other reach their goals and trying to achieve a cleaner and safer environment for not only us, but all living things in our ecosystem. So I think, at the rate at which we're going by 2050, it's not going to be looking great for humanity or anyone in our environment.
So from a perspective, as a specialist of AI, AI could resolve this problem since AI can analyze data from the past and know how to resolve it efficiently. In fact, in order to solve the water problem, which is water pollution, AI has been utilized to analyze data and analyze water and know what bacteria is impacts into causing the pollution. So this could help us to resolve the problem efficiently by identifying the reason of the problem exactly, and this is really beneficial for us to live in a cleaner society.
I believe that for the future, to have a cleaner and more environmentally friendly, for our grandchildren, it's essential that humans take actions to reduce their impact on this environment that's still alive, living, and promote sustainability. And this can be done in many different ways. Humans can reduce their carbon emissions by using renewable energy, driving less, using public transportation, and reducing consumption. They could conserve water by fixing leaks, using low-flow toilets in shower heads, and reducing outdoor water use. And they can also reduce waste by recycling, composting, and reducing consumption, most commonly known as 3Rs. And they can help to protect biodiversity by preserving natural habitats, reaching pollution, and supporting conservation efforts.
Okay, so Suyi, we think that we have some great ideas about what we could do to preserve the environment. Do you believe that groups of people, the people that you know, and the governments that you've become familiar with are taking enough action to make this work 30 years from now?
I guess they have the thought of doing something to like protect the environment and stuff, because like there's like global goals set, but then I don't think they're taking enough actions towards it, because they only have the goal set, but they don't have like actual actions happening. Like to ask citizens or like ask people to take part in preventing collapse.
Okay, lots of great, let's leave it at that, folks. We're at the 26-minute mark, believe it or not, of the conversation, but there could be, and I can sense the concern from the panel here today, and it could be a situation where there's a lot of fancy words, concepts and phrases out there and not enough action. So let's leave it at that. Thank you very much, panel, for participating.